Um, yeah. So what's up, Brian? You got back in the saddle today, squatting, huh?
Yeah. I switched gear a while back from Inzer to Overkill. Got it all last week, so I threw on the briefs and the squat suit and the knee wraps for the first time, and first time I've been full gear since I think last August.
Yeah. And you were telling us it's all a little bit big.
Yeah, when I measured for it, like Rudy is super precise with his measurements, and I was about 267 the day that I took my measurements, and I'm about 253 or so right now. So it fits in the legs, but it's like real loose in the torso and the hips. So I'll fill back out over the next several weeks and get back in it. And
is it kind of like,
it's really
so
go ahead.
So and I think Bob wears Titan, but I noticed like the difference between even just the fitting of, like, because I ordered a pair of Titan briefs, between the Titans and the Predators, they're literally like, not only is the material a little different, but they literally fit different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like are the Overkill like they fit more like Predators or more like the Boss briefs, or is it like somewhere in between?
So the Rudy, like his order form that he sends out just for one pair of briefs, he takes I think like 18 or 20 measurements just for one pair of briefs. And like he nerds the fuck out. Like leg angle, you can choose between like 10, 15, 20 or 25 or 30 degrees, and like Predators are stock 25 degree according to him.
Okay.
Yeah, so I go super wide, and so we went with 30 degrees for me. And so they feel like Predators, but the material to me is just a little softer or more givey. But then again, like I said, I'm about 15 pounds light compared to like the person they were made for. So when I get back up to the old body weight, they might give me a little bit more in the hips. So
nice.
If you know Brian's history too, they actually had to add extra material in the front so that he could get those on. So that's actually part of the reason. It's part of the reason. It's part of the reason that he switched. Honestly, really could custom pouch the front, and that was a big deal.
He may have the smallest arms in powerlifting, but he's got the biggest dick.
There's no room for the blood to go to his upper body.
You guys.
That's actually why he squats so upright too, because if he leans forward, he falls.
It's like a power pole.
Yeah,
it's like one of those power poles.
It speaks with a southern accent too. It's crazy.
Shit.
Throw a quarter and a collar on that sumbitch.
Dalton, can you intro these guys before we get screamed at on the internet for not introing?
Our fucking 3 fans get all pissed off if we don't intro them. Bob, is your name Bob for real, or is it Robert? Because I really want to know if you were named Bob as a baby.
It's technically Robert. Funny story is,
man, I was hoping it was Bob.
People have been using my last name for so long that like some of my friends actually like didn't even realize I had a first name. So it's technically it's Robert.
I'm assuming football and shit.
Yeah. And then just like Merc in like Urban Dictionary slang language is like a solid, like it's a nickname. And so everyone's like, oh, Merc, like gonna kill somebody, and it's like, no, that's legitimately that's my last name. Just that's
so cool.
You don't even have your first name in your Instagram anywhere.
No.
I'm sure the kids try to find him. That's why.
Oh no, they know it's right there on my staff ID that has me, still with hair and 15 years ago.
Really, dude?
Are you bald by choice or no?
What's that?
Are you bald by choice or no?
Yeah, I'm bald by choice. I like it that way. I want to look like my hero.
Well,
I carry it with me.
Choice, but I have like this really way back hairline anyway, so
he was holding on to that one.
This dude comes he comes correct when he comes,
Wait, so can you still grow hair, Brian? It looks like it.
I can, yeah. Just I prefer not to. I already have like a really big head and a small upper body, so like if I grow hair, it just looks fucking massive, like I'm wearing a helmet. So I just That's why I shave, just so my body looks like I lift weights and I'm not just walking around like a fucking bobblehead all the time.
So did you guys like shave your heads for like some strange reason and then decide like, oh wait, this actually looks good? Or did you do it knowing it would look good? Because I feel like that's like quite the fucking move to just shave your head down to nothing. If you like have
you
hair.
go first, Bob.
I really thought you were supposed to be bald and bearded to be a power lifter. I thought it was like a prerequisite, at least if you want to be good at it. So, no, I cut it for convenience sake. Like back when I was playing football in college, it was just easier to have no hair. And then just went back to it. It's easy. I just have a buzz it every couple of days. No maintenance.
Do you guys ever go no hair and no beard?
Can't do that.
Fuck no.
I did. I started shaving my head before powerlifting because I think it was the summer between freshman and sophomore year of high school, I buzzed my hair for the first time ever and then bleached it because I wanted to look like Eminem. And then it started to grow out, and then I just had like brown hair with frosted tips, like that fucking dude from Sugar Ray. And I was like, no way, dude, I gotta get rid of it. So I shaved it like slick, and then I was like, I actually look kind of tough. So I want to keep doing it.
I feel like Brian has had multiple identity crises. First he's Slim Shady, then he had the Chuck Vogelpool flaming beanie.
Hey, in 2006 to 2008, everybody had the Vogelpool beanie. That was like everybody wanted to be Chuck. So,
do you think that guy realizes how many people fucking idolized him?
I don't know. He doesn't. I've heard he doesn't even own a computer, or he's never once been on the internet. So I don't think he gives a flying fuck, honestly.
When I trained at Westside, I would eat with him in a booth most of the time. And he, only thing he would ever say every morning, you gotta get your deadlift stronger. That's it. That's it. And then I would just laugh and say, yep. And he would just.
Good advice.
What a question. Like he's asking you as if like you're not already trying to do that. He's like, so you gonna try to get that stronger?
When I was there, I was like a 300-pound fucking kid barely pulling 615.
Yeah, that's brutal, man. That's not too good.
Yeah, and then just trying not to die.
Too good, he said.
Yo, so I got a question. Actually have a question for you, Bob. This question is kind of a joke, but when were you in Dubai? Can you see this? In Dubai, arm wrestling Larry Wheels, dude.
Oh yeah, look at me go.
Pretty strong, dude.
You won too.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, of course I'm gonna win.
I mean, the Merck household, they only breed winners, sir.
Dude, I don't remember that. I did arm wrestle an Applebee's waiter like 2 months ago, though. He called on the Thunder and lost.
Really?
So, yeah.
How did that happen?
We were literally sitting there. We were there for my son's birthday, and the guy's like, I got a weird question, man. Can I arm wrestle you? And I'm like laughing. I'm like, yeah, man, no thanks. He's like, no, I'm serious.
Your waiter asked you that?
Yeah. What was that dude's name? Christian? Yeah, Christian the waiter wanted. There's a video on my Instagram. I threw him a beating.
So what did you push the food out of the way and have him sit down?
No, it's like we slid over to an open booth, and then right in the Applebee's in front of everyone, me and Christian the waiter, we got after it.
Was it like a scene from that Sly movie, Over the Top?
No, I was so pissed off I wasn't wearing a hat.
Dude, you're like, let's fucking go, boy!
Yeah. Didn't have it. Had a solid victory over a 160 pound waiter. He ate shit though. It was good.
Did you at least like let him like, you know, like maybe think he had you a little bit for a couple seconds?
I held him solid. Solid and steady for a couple seconds.
And then he had
more dramatic conclusion. Yeah.
Was that before or after Larry Wheels? Just kidding.
That was after. It was it was my follow up to my victory over Larry.
That guy that looks like you, I guess, is like an insanely good arm wrestler. I remember because when I first saw that video, I kind of like did a double take, like, wait a minute, what the and then I realized that it was just some random dude, but he's like a good arm wrestler, I guess.
Brian, I just remembered I was to fucking tell you. You know, up until yesterday, I thought you were a fucking diesel mechanic.
Well, why did you think that? First off, I have
no idea. I thought somebody told me that one day.
I mean, I'm like the least mechanical person ever. I'm pretty
Me
good with
too.
wood. I can build shit.
Yeah, you are.
With wood.
That's what we've heard.
I can build shit, but like, nah, turning wrenches, that's not my thing. I fucking nah. I know the gas is on the right and the brake is on the left, and that's about all I know about cars.
Oh man.
Do you
Bob,
just
did you
coach? Oh,
do
sorry.
anything as a career before teaching, or you went to college right away and did that?
What's up?
Did you do anything as a career before teaching, or did you like go straight to college, become a teacher, all that?
So I went to college to become a teacher, but before that, and actually after that, and still a little bit now, I run like a fence crew. So like that's my manual labor side hustle, putting up fences and decks and shit like that. Yeah.
Sick.
I never knew that.
I make more money. I can make more money literally in like 2 days putting up a fence around someone's backyard than I can in 2 weeks of teaching.
Both my parents are teachers, sir, so I know exactly how underpaid and underappreciated y'all are.
I mean, it's fine. It's got a good pension and good benefits for when I fuck myself up doing other things, but like, and I enjoy it. Like it's like fun hanging out with kids, and I get paid to make fun of kids all day long. It's great. It's and to look like this. They roll in and like, wait, where's the teacher? Like, someone move the custodian out the way and find out. I'm like, no, seriously, I'm in charge. Like I know. I wouldn't trust me either. I get it.
I can't believe it either.
Do you have to like dress kind of nice at work or no?
So I used to. And then like as the years have gone on, I got involved with the union and started like tweaking the contract a little. So yeah, now I dress pretty much like you. I wear a collared shirt. I got a polo.
Oh, all right. Nice.
Fancy.
You wear a squat shirt. What I just heard. You wear a squat shirt?
Yeah.
No, I can't squat in a polo like you. That is, you can keep that.
Bob likes to squat and bench and deadlift. Little to no clothing.
Little to none.
Yeah, that's true actually.
Yep.
I remember the first time I saw you squat on Instagram, like I think it was your 11. Is it 11:32 or 11:37?
My best, or what I've done. I think 11:25 was my first 11:60 is my best.
Was that at the Metal Militia meet?
Yeah, there was an 11:60 at a militia meet.
11:60 was the one that I saw. You had the sleeveless shirt on with the Ultra Pro, and I was like, damn.
Yeah. Listen, lots of people can just cut off the sleeves. I cut off the whole front of the shirt. This is right. It's like a stringer on backwards.
Dude, those Metal Militia meets I've only seen on Instagram. Those look so badass.
They're fun.
Like, yeah, like I'm doing one out in Lake Erie, literally next Saturday. And that one was wild last year. They had like lights like the WPO, fog machines, people riding motorcycles and shit through the meet. And I'm like, all right.
So sick.
Like when people landing in helicopters to ride a motorcycle into a venue is like half lifting, half WWE.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so sick. And just like everything about it, like the logos and stuff are just badass. Like it's all sick. You guys, we have more questions than we've ever gotten. So I'm thinking we just jump right into them.
12 questions.
I promised Stan that I would be good. I promised Stan I would be good and let y'all get through these answers.
Dalton has a habit of interrupting quite a lot. I interrupt sometimes too, so it's not just him, but we're going to try not to interrupt too much. This one we already kind of touched on, but I Heard Everywhere asked us, talk about your experiences with your new gear brands. I guess if you guys want to just go over, because I know you're in Titan now, Bob, and I know you're in Overkill now, Brian. If you guys want to just go over maybe like the biggest things you do and don't like about them, or first impressions, you know what I mean? You want to go first, Bob?
Yeah, I can go first. So when I started, I got into Multiply right around the end of 2016. So it was like whatever people would give me.
Yeah.
Which is mostly Inzer at the time. I was in that Ultra Pro forever. And then like various different SDPs, and anyone who's ever been in Inzer knows that like being in one SDP does not mean you've been in just, so it's like, so SDPs, I pulled in either a Fusion or I had an old OG canvas that was like for a super heavy. So that was my experience. Never had a problem with it. Really was doing well. I got the experience or got the chance to switch over to Titan. In terms of like the gear, pretty easy transition in the squat and deadlift, almost like seamless. A little bit different, like the briefs. I would say I would take my Boss briefs over my Predators now. I think they're a little bit easier to use.
Really?
Especially squatting wide like I do. I think they're very comfortable. I find it a hell of a lot easier to hit depth. Now, for those you don't know, I was using like really aggressive predators too. So like they weren't like stock Inzer. It was like I bought 2 pairs of predators, sent them to Ginny out in Canada, and it was like, hey Ginny, I've got an idea. So as you can imagine, like sometimes getting to depth when you're basically wearing 2 pairs of predators turned into one was a challenge.
4-ply?
Yeah.
Let me interrupt while you're talking about the Boss briefs. Did you have? Are they stock Boss briefs? Because I used Boss briefs back in the day, and even their wide stance cut was like so straight up and down that it pulled my knees in super hard. So
yeah,
that's why I always went with the Predators.
Yeah,
so
my legs are almost straight out to the side. I had them custom. They're literally like, I point my toes. I'm wide and toes out, so my legs are like almost like sideways coming out of there. And I had them brought up the chest a little.
I knew that answer already from talking to you in the past, but I wanted you to tell everybody else.
Yeah,
too.
I also everyone who reaches out to me, I always tell people reach out and ask me a million questions because honestly, it's like a little give back to Titan. But they don't charge nearly enough for custom over stock. So like you're better off just calling and getting it right. And the delivery time is like the same. So I like my legs a little bit longer too. Because I like my briefs to stick out of the suit and not the other way around. So I add just a little bit of material to the bottom of the legs just because it's like my briefs stick out of the bottom of the suit. The Boss suit is
Titan too, because I live 3 hours away from them.
Yeah.
So it makes it easier to go in there in person, get measured. Because I live 7 hours from Inzer, which I've driven there to get measured, and still that order got fucked. But
you don't say.
But from what I know, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Titan has a lot more bounce and pop out of the bottom than stopping power, because it's a lot more giving poly, correct? In the brief?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the material. So they got like, and it's, again, I'm going to sound like Inzer here. Like there's the Evil Twin material. There's the original Boss material. They got a new material that's kind of like the old Boss material. So overall, I would say it's a little bit stretchier. If you add enough plies, though, you can get it to stop pretty hard.
Yeah, and I've seen that crazy stitching that you had them do.
Yeah, I got some wild shit on mine. The Boss suit that they made for me, that was a little bit more of a transition. I like it now, but like I'm used to like more of a canvas like stop, and that didn't have that stop. So it just took me a little while to figure out how to sort of manipulate that poly and squat, and it turns out I like it. So the squat, the deadlift, and all that stuff was an easy transition. As far as the bench shirt goes, it took me a while. It wasn't so much, it was finding the right shirt for me. They got a bunch of different shirts. And I mean, I tried the Evil Twin, and Evil Twins, I'd compare them to like my experience with Overkill. Like it was great. Like I took like my first time in it, I took like 950 to a 2-board. I'm like, oh great, this is gonna be the shirt. And then I took like 905 to a 1-board. I'm like, here we go. I'm gonna be a 900 bench shirt.
Holy shit.
Then it turns out the last inch is hard unless you're Brian Hill. So I was not able to figure that out. So I'm actually in a shirt now that's like, it's cut like ready for this? It's cut like a Super Katana.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's got Super Katana sleeves.
Okay.
It's got F6 material in the chest. And it's got a ridiculous collar from like an Evil Twin. So it's a Frankenstein shirt.
Wow, that's cool.
But it's stretchier, so I can touch anything in it if I'm patient enough. So
Really?
it took some time. And when people ask, I'm like, just if you're going to order this, just tell them, just make what I have. It's easier.
Yeah,
Bob, I don't know if you remember this, but you sold me my first SD ever.
I do, and that thing was tricked out.
Bro, yeah, I fucking dropped 600 pounds of my face with it.
Yeah.
Dude, he sends me this fucking SDP. The chest panel is this wide.
And it was reinforced. That was a grid stitch chest.
Bro, it was a 6-ply collar, 3-ply chest, 4-ply sleeves. I had been in multi-ply maybe 3 months, and I bought this fucking thing from him, and I go to try it, and I literally take 600 to like a 7-board, and I'm like,
yeah. I sent that one. I sent that one to Ginny with some extra material and said, "Have your way with it." So she did.
That thing was fucking gnarly.
Holy shit. What about you, Brian? Switching over to Overkill from Inzer?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of experience with it because I used the squat gear today, and I'm going to use the bench shirt for the first time tomorrow. But yeah, I'm not sponsored by Overkill. I bought every single piece of gear that I have from them, so I don't really have to kiss his ass, so to speak. So I can give honest feedback on it and compare it to Enzer. I was a loyal Enzer customer when I first got into Multiply in 2010. Like most people back then, like I wanted to be sponsored by Elite FTS. I wanted to use all metal gear, so like I bought all metal, and I had like brand new Ace briefs, brand new Ace squat suit, whatever. I think it was the Bash bench shirt at the time, and I used that stuff for like a couple of months, and like barely got more out of all of that than I was getting out of my single ply stuff the previous 4 years. So a friend of mine tossed me his hand-me-down Leviathan one day and was like, here, try this on. So I put it on with no briefs and hit 705 for my first time. So from that day forward, I was just like a diehard Enzer customer.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally got sponsored by them. That was kind of facilitated by Brian Carroll back in 2018. And then just like most people have experienced with Enzer, like the inconsistencies in their sizing and their materials and their customer service, I finally just kind of got fed up with all of that. And again, Brian Carroll was like, oh, I can hook you up with Rudy and see what we can get worked out. And so I talked to him, and he was at the time not willing to sponsor anybody else because he's already sponsored a lot of people. And so I just bought everything, and I finally got it after a pretty lengthy wait. I got it last week. So now I'm looking forward to putting my body weight back on and giving it an honest run here over the next couple of months, and then maybe hit a meet sometime in February or March or maybe January or so of 2022, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool. Any like
is that squat suit? Is that white stuff canvas and the black is the poly?
Yeah. So on the Leviathan, you know, they have like that 4-inch panel down the side.
Yeah.
Rudy's thing is he wants the canvas to be all the way around the hips and the torso, so he makes the front half, or like just on the front, the top half is poly, so that way when you get to like the very bottom and you're trying to force that last inch or two of depth, it'll have a little bit of give. So I wore it, like I said, the first time today, and because I have super long femurs, I had him make the legs extra long. And even though I'm 15 pounds lighter now than I was when I took the measurements for that suit, like the way that the legs fit and the extra length, they lock up so hard, and like it's so much more support in the legs, like the spreading out into the gear is so much more than anything I've ever felt before. So like I feel like once I get my weight back on, because like the first and last place I put my weight on or off is always my waist and my ass. It's like a woman, I guess. So like when I put my next 15 pounds on, like my ass is gonna get nice and fat again, and I feel like the suit is gonna be it's gonna be perfect. So might finally get that 242 squat record, and then see what happens. But yeah, it's promising so far.
What you have to say about the bench shirt, man? Because I always see people. It's like it seems to be a board press shirt, and then that when you try to go touch, it seems like everyone has struggles with it. So I'm interested to see if you can figure something out that works better for you. Or
I kind of have a philosophy. Bob probably kind of agrees on this, like just watching his training and knowing how he trains. But I think any shirt can be a board press shirt if you live and die on board presses. Like there's a lot of 2-board press heroes out there. So it's like no matter what the shirt is, you got to spend time 1 board and below, or just throw the boards away and just fucking get good at touching. And like that's why I was able to get 350 pounds out of my old red SDP.
God damn.
Like, back when I was a 365 raw bencher, I benched 705 in a meet in that shirt. But I have yet, because of the sizing and the material inconsistencies, I've yet to be able to find a shirt that matched that red SDP's performance. So back to what you're saying, like when I start working in these shirts and I get them broken in, like Danny Tinajero, like he very seldomly does board presses. He might do like an overload 2-board like 3 or 4 weeks out from the meet. And I know Bob does a shit ton of like 2s and 3s to his chest like, almost every week in his shirt. So it's like, it's not the shirt's problem. The people that are saying this shirt is a board press shirt, it's because they're board press heroes and they don't have the time or the patience or the skill to fucking touch and get good at benching. They're good at board pressing.
Yeah. To that point, it's like definitely something that I always track my PRs, obviously like the most weight, but I track like the least weight I can touch too. And when I finally benched over 8, it was when I could touch the least weight in the same shirt I benched 8 in.
No
so
shit.
I touched 585 in the shirt that I benched 8 in. It was like that when they switched to the purplish looking material.
I've seen
the SDP
800 in, and that's some bitch thick.
Yeah, so it was like a 30-second touch, but I don't need to breathe. So if anyone's ever watched me bench, I'm like the slowest bencher and squatter on the planet. So like you'll think the video is frozen and I'm just waiting. But yeah, so I always track that as like a reverse PR, and I touch at least once every week.
That's really smart and interesting. I haven't heard that before. Yeah. I like that.
I've heard people say before, like touch the lightest weight possible, so that you know if you feel like shit. Okay, I can lower it all the way to this if I need to. But I've never heard of like tracking it to.
Yeah, I literally track because then you got to challenge yourself because you got to try the next week and touch something less. But it's also good because you don't panic. Like it's meet day and all of a sudden you hear 2, you hear 1. And, you start to lock up a little. Well, if you're used to holding your breath for 30 seconds under tension, you're not going to have that same sort of panic response that a lot of times you see people have, and then they just dump forward. I just kind of like take a little nap down there and wait. There's my dogs.
I will say, learning how to touch lighter weight actually taught me how to row the bar into the shirt, because you have to. Like, at least for me, when I was doing it, that's what helped me, because like the last inch, you can only get so big, So like it taught me how to like keep your shoulders back while still rowing, because I would always do that and then row. What's easier to do? Dip the fucking bar or row it? It's easier to just dip it.
It is an underappreciated sort of skill that you don't see enough people mess with.
Yeah. Your guy Barry actually helped me out with that.
All right. That makes sense. It's like a big metal militia thing that they do. Like they love triples. They love touching reps, but they also like track that type of stuff. So it's like touching lightweight is a skill. Like anything else, it's harder to touch when it's less weight. And if touching is a skill, you want to make things harder, not easier.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
I think the same is true for hitting depth and squat. Like I always giggle when people are like, "It wasn't enough weight to get down." I was like, "No, you're just not a good enough squatter to get depth." Like that's the problem.
It'll be there. It'll be there on meet day.
Yeah, it'll be there on meet day when you bump your opener 50 pounds over your max.
I will say I witnessed Brian up to WPO miss the opener and then go up 70 pounds on a second.
Yeah.
Like he said, watch this, I'm gonna swing my balls.
I actually also missed my opener that meet, and then I didn't go up.
Oh, I know. I watched you get really mad at the judges.
Yeah.
I only went up because I knew my opener was good. Because there was a guy before me and a guy right after me who got away with bullshit squats. And I'm like, if they're going to fuck me, they're going to fuck me. But I know that squat was good. I'm just going to go up to what I came to hit. And they fucked me. So whatever.
they put y'all to some standards at those meets for sure.
Yeah.
Some of us, yeah. Some of us.
Speaking of that, I actually have a question. I have two questions from Henry Thomason about the WPO.
Oh, my boy Henry.
I love the Texas boy.
First one is, are you guys worried about depth because the increase of WPC judges from Texas attending the WPO?
If you've seen my squats recently, I hope you can tell that I've been worried about depth. The freaking McDaniels get out there and maybe they got really good eyesight or just different versions of where my hip is. I love them, but I actually kind of hope it's tight because that's my best chance of doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing WPO this year, obviously, but I went 3 for 3 on squat with the McDaniels judging me at semifinals last year, so I don't care. Whatever judges are sitting in the chair, I want to give them what they want.
They were tight at semifinals. They were like extra tight. I went 2 for 2 with 6 white lights, so I got as many white lights as if I did 3.
Was that the one at the Arnold?
There's a USAPL 4th white light for going under depth.
There we go. A special thumbs up you get.
Yeah.
Biggest underdog at the WPO, also by Henry asked that too.
There's this dude, I don't know Hill, if you're following all the guys. I can't even think of the guy's name. He trains down with Alan Pilley.
The Mexican kid?
Yeah.
That motherfucker's a sleeper. Nobody knows him, but he's a fucking monster.
What's his name?
I don't know. He speaks only Spanish.
Yeah. You know what's funny?
I gave him a hug when I was down there and introduced myself, and then he said a lot of nice things to me, I hope. But I wasn't quite picking up what he was putting down. But I watched this dude just manhandle just like super heavyweight weights. and he's
I
like
know what you're
pocket
talking
size.
about.
Yeah,
He's like a 165 or 181 or something, right? Maybe.
he qualified single ply too. I don't even
I think
he
he's
knows what
181.
doing.
He did because the meet that he qualified at was last December. I was handling some training partners at a meet in Florida, and he was there, and I recognized him then because I was like, oh, it's a single ply guy in APF because it was all mostly multiply and raw, and he was like this one oddball single ply guy, and then a couple weeks later I saw him pop up on Instagram and I was like, oh, he trains at CTX, and then he was in multiply and tagging WPO. But yeah, I think his Instagram name is like Splinter
82 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, all of his posts are 100% in Spanish, and I don't think he speaks any English. But dude, he's a fucking savage.
And I saw it for myself. Like I said, firsthand. I watched that dude train, and you put anyone around Allen who's like insane. He's the only guy out there. I think he's just crazier than me with his training. And I think he's going to be a force. Maybe not yet. I mean, I don't know about yet. Yeah. But definitely at some point, like he's got the right training partners and he's just a freak. So he might be a sleeper.
Well, I got it, guys. I speak job site Spanish, so we're good. I got this.
Yeah, cool. That'll be helpful.
What's crazy about that CTX gym is I was down there like 3 months ago or so. Is like there's a lot of strong fucking dudes there. There's one dude there that's like 19 or 20 that squats 1100. But dude, they have like all those dudes. They have like no equipment in there, and they still are all strong motherfuckers. There's literally like basically nothing in there. There's like a couple machines and dumbbells that pretty sure don't even go that heavy, and then they have like a rack, a deadlift platform, a bench, and a monolift.
So this is like CTX 4.0. They've moved a bunch of times. I'm not sure how much of their equipment they have. Their current location, I'm not sure. When did you go down?
It's like 3 months ago. I think it was February.
All right, so yeah, this is the current. It was the one that's in like the like busted up like facility or whatever. You walk in like I don't think they have everything sort of set up yet. I know they're getting more. Like
Alan, poor Alan. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. You probably know more than I do.
When I first hooked up with them, it was like just randomly by chance because I go to Orlando so much, and I had met them at the one Arnold. I go to Orlando like it's like I'm going again in like a month or something.
World's biggest Harry Potter over here.
That's right. I just, you know what? I can fly there cheaper than, like, my flight to Orlando was cheaper than the Uber ride from the airport to my hotel in Orlando.
Why is that?
I have an airport like 5 minutes from my house, and I can fly from Atlantic City to Orlando for like $45.
What?
Yeah.
What the
so
fuck?
I roll in on like a $45 trip. I get a cheap hotel room. I got season passes, so like you see me going there, and everyone's like, "Oh, you got all this money to travel." I'm like, "Dude, I did like for what I would spend on like a steak dinner. I did 2 days in Florida."
Dude, this whole time I'm like, Bob's got to have a side hustle for this shit. Like,
yeah,
he does have a side hustle though.
I know that now, but goddamn. Holy shit.
Yeah, no, it's cheap if you know how to do it. And like I said, we got season passes because we all, at least my wife and I love it. We drag the kids once in a while. But yeah, and it's great for me because those guys are down there, so I don't even miss training. Like I think we're going down in August while I'm like 2 weeks out of the WPO, but I'm like, I'll just squat with them.
Yeah, fuck it.
By the way, if any of the guys in CTX are listening, I'm coming down to squat.
Just so you guys know.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. Holy shit.
All right. Is it mandatory to try single ply before multiply?
Hill, you want to take that? I would say definitely not.
Yeah, I would say absolutely not. I thought that, and I'd spent 4 years in single ply, and it paid me absolutely no dividends once I got into multiply. It's two completely separate disciplines, two completely separate skill sets. Same thing from raw to multiply. People are always like, you got to build up your raw base, but like, you can build your raw base while multiply. Like, I'll take somebody who's never squatted, bench, or deadlift a day in their life and throw them in whatever discipline they want to be in. Because, like, you're going to build your raw base and your raw strength and your muscles. You know, you're going to build hypertrophy through your assistance work and, like, just the volume of your training anyway. So it's like, I think it's absolutely ridiculous for anybody to suggest that you need to do, like, work your way up from raw, single ply, multiply. So that's something I strongly believe in, and I'll argue with anybody about that all day long.
I agree. I actually think it's detrimental.
Started raw, right?
I started raw. I started, believe it or not, I started in single ply, technically. Single ply USAPL.
Wow.
Brian,
My very first meet was raw. It was raw, but I'd had zero raw base. I knew what powerlifting was for 6 weeks, and I did my first meet, and I had a belt, and I'd already ordered a squat suit and a bench shirt from Elite FTS, but I didn't get them yet. So I was like, well, fuck it, I'll just do the meet raw. And then it came literally the day after the meet, or the Monday after the meet, and I used everything that night. So like, no, I had zero raw base before. And then I did 4 years of single ply just because I didn't have a monolift or like a crew to train multiply with. And then once I built my own gym and had a monolift and everything, like I said, it took me about 6 months to a year just to get adjusted to the monolift from walking stuff out. So like there was absolutely no carryover of the skill or I get obviously the training and the discipline and the strength that I built, helped, but it was like starting over and something completely different when I got into multiply.
I'd say it's actually detrimental.
Yeah, my first session ever was in Predators. I mean, I've never done raw, I've never done single ply. My first real training session ever, as soon as I started powerlifting, was in Predators.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know what raw or single. I mean, I knew what raw was because of like Eric Lillybridge on Instagram, but I didn't start training in powerlifting until I started going to this one gym, and this dude was a bench only guy, and he had a pair of Predators and gave them to me.
Yeah, but you didn't just start going to the gym and like doing like bicep curls and bench and shit?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like when I started actually powerlifting, my first session ever was in Predators. Like just working out. I just worked out because I was like 13.
Okay. I thought you meant your first time working out, you wore briefs. I was like, holy fuck.
No.
Like that's definitely quite a unique experience if somebody's...
Yeah, that would be nuts. I feel like that would be like if Dave Hoff had a child.
I would say, because I've done raw, single ply, and multiply, I would just say that with anything, whether it's knee wraps, single ply gear, multiply gear, I would say nothing's mandatory, but in my opinion, it's preferable to start with gear that's less intense. But that doesn't mean like single ply is not necessarily going to be less intense than multiply, depending on like what gear you get. Like a single ply suit that's crazy fucking tight is going to be way harder to learn if you're just starting than like a pair of Predators that are multiply that aren't crazy tight. You know what I mean? It's kind of just like you just want to ease into it with stuff that's not like insane. You know what I mean?
I agree with you there. Like a loose multiply shirt is what I always recommend for people, especially like a looser chest plate, especially if you've been like raw. Like tight sleeves are fine, but like it's frustrating when you can't touch anything. So like if you want to have some success, I got a guy going through this right now, and he wants to like wear everything aggressive because he sees the end goal. But I'm like, you are missing so many steps to get there. Like you just want to do a successful rep. Learn how to use it, learn how to use the shirt, and then, ease your way in.
Dude,
you can get a lot out of a loose shirt, and that's a skill too. Just learning how to jack and manipulate your gear is another skill. Like how you wear something totally affects how it's going to perform. And that's something you can't learn in a tight shirt when you can't touch anything.
So I definitely do agree with that as well, because like especially with single ply for me, because like I said, I spent 4 years there. Like I got good at using tight gear and manipulating tight gears. Then once I transferred over to multiply, it was like I was used to wearing everything super tight and jacking the shirt way down and like twisting the legs on the briefs and all that stuff. And it's like that's too much for multiply because it's it's thicker, it's already stiffer and more restrictive. So it's like whatever discipline you're going to choose it. And then there's ways that you can graduate and move up the ranks or the levels of like aggressiveness or in that particular gear that. So we're all saying the same shit in different words.
Moral of the story is don't go raw, go multiply.
Exactly. Unless
you want shoulders like Bob, go multiply.
2014 or 2008 to 2014 me would have disagreed with you, but this current version, we're right here. I'm on board.
I love how diehard raw you were, and now you're like the biggest. You and Brian are probably the two biggest gear whores I know.
I put on a pair of Predators one time. I'm like, oh, that's it. I have the same stories. Have you ever thought like Anthony says the same thing? Like put them like, I'm never going back. It feels good. I'm like squatting. I can squat more weight and it doesn't hurt. This is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right? Why would I want to squat 800 pounds when I could squat all the pounds?
Yeah, I didn't realize I was born to be a multiply lifter. If you look at my raw videos, like I stood the same stance I have now when I was raw. I can remember one time at a meet, the dude comes up, the meet director literally runs up and like sticks his hand like up my singlet. He was checking for briefs, but like no introduction, no offer of like a nice meal.
Yeah.
Like, and then after he's like, I just wanted to prove to people on the platform. I'm like, thanks, man, but like that was awkward.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like, you know what's up there, right? I mean, I know I'm not Brian Hill, but you could still hit something eventually. That's Hill, you lose a finger.
What's it like competing 9 times in a year?
Was that one for Brian?
That's honestly for Bob, because I fucking compete once per 9 years at this rate.
It's a little easier. It's a little easier than 12 times a year.
The WPO.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Dalton, now the way I train, just like competing's a day off, man. It's if you live, I train like 6 or 7 days a week, and I don't really have much of a sensical, regimented plan like the Brian Hills of the world. So I feel like I can jump into a meet when I need a rest or something like that. This is actually the hardest week for me because I just got done my last training session. Now I got to take 6 days off. It's like, yeah.
I remember
by 6 days off, he means he's going hiking tomorrow, and then the day after he's going. He's
I did go out today.
Yeah,
and some blood. I live with my gym in the basement, so like if I do some like blood flow stuff, you know that doesn't count.
Bob's blood flow stuff is 4 plates raw on a bench for like 10 sets of 8.
Under 80% doesn't count.
Yeah. I remember, do you remember when I texted you? I was like, hey, I'm trying to set up my accessories. What should I do?
Yeah.
And you were like,
I just sent you mine.
He sends me his. I'm like, so I'm going to cut this in half and see if that doesn't kill me. Magna
Vita came, like my boy Matt came one Monday. He's like, I think, I want to get in shape. I want to like accessories, because he doesn't do accessories. He's just strong. He's like, I think I want to do accessories. So he shows up one Monday halfway through. He's like, man, fuck you. And like leaves.
What did you, oh God, I can't remember what you said. Didn't you say I just do 50 sets or some shit?
No, I pick a number and I just work to it. So I'll pick like 1,500 and I'll be like, all right, I'm going to do 1,500 reps. And then I have like certain body parts. So I do like, and I just like tally them up. Yeah, so it's just high volume stuff. It's light. I mean, I'm not trying to kill, like that's days like that. I might do sets of 25 on like 3 different variations of lat pull downs and like shrugs. It's easy stuff, but it's just keeps me in shape, I guess.
Yeah.
It was really helpful. It was really helpful when we did the 2019 WPO and they decided a meet should be cut in a third. And like literally you get done squatting, they're like, all right, bench is in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
like, oh, all right.
Yeah, it's good because your fitness is relatively high, like from the workload. Yeah.
I took my raw warm-ups in my briefs that meet. That's how fast that meet was running.
Was that the WPO where you hurt your lat and then I smacked your back before you went to go deadlift, and that was the one. Yeah.
That was the one. I think I growled at you.
Dude,
but it's okay because I was more mad at what's his face, Stone's brother, the head judge.
Dude, he hurt his lat or some shit on, I think it was benching, right?
Yep.
And he's staring there at the chalk ball, and I like smacked his back a little. I was like, let's go. He looked at me and I was like, this is when I die.
Yeah, no, you hit the target perfectly. It was nice.
You just looked at me. I was like, I'm gonna go stand over there now.
So, dude, man, I feel like that can only happen to someone like you who can handle an aggressive bench shirt, because the only way, like, there's no reason for your lat to tear unless you're pulling really hard. You know what I mean?
I was pulling in pretty hard.
Yeah, that's gnarly. Let's see, dude.
It's because you know what it was? It's because I switched. I took an opener. I didn't want to bomb. Was suck to bomb. The WPO like that. So I didn't want to bomb. So I took my dick. So I took my opener in like a loose shirt. Just took I think 760 or somewhere like right around there, and then I jumped right to like 845. Because I knew I was putting on like a real aggressive shirt and it didn't have it was ice cold. So it locked up, and I'm like, we'll just be patient and pull this thing in was the plan. It did not work, but that was the plan.
So did you end up with just because I was watching the live feed, did you end up with just like a little bit of a tear in the lat, or was that like something pretty bad that you had to rehab for a while?
It wasn't that bad, but it was on the underhand for my deadlift. It was on my supinated grip.
Yeah.
So like just where it was high at like the insertion.
Yeah.
So like it didn't even mess up my benching. It messed up my deadlifting for a while. And going into that meet, I just pulled 805 2 weeks before the WPO at a meet before the WPO. That I did. I wasn't supposed to do it, but I was there. So my deadlift has never quite gotten back to that because I took like 6 months off of like really deadlifting, and it's been a slow return to glory on the deadlift.
Yeah.
Damn, yeah, that's a pretty big deadlift. I didn't know you pulled over 800.
Yeah, I've done it twice. I pulled 800, and then I pulled 805 going into the WPO. Like I said, it was supposed to be my last deadlift day. So I went there, and I'm like, maybe I'll go deadlift only. And then I went full power. So.
Didn't you use other people's gear?
No, that was one time when I showed up and I was supposed to be handling lifters on a meet like up in Lake George. And I wasn't supposed to be doing it, but then Delafave showed up and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to do it." I'm like, "Fuck, man, I don't have any gear." So then I borrowed someone's Leviathan and I did the meet. I squatted 1,005 in like this giant like canvas diaper.
Oh my god!
That was actually I pulled 800 that meet too in that canvas.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you like pulling it? That's the OG canvas, like the white one?
Yeah.
You like pulling that?
When it goes right, it goes really right. When it goes wrong, it goes really wrong.
I really like pulling in the Ultra Pro.
Yeah, I mean that seems to be one of those things where when you figure it out, you've got it. Magnavita pulls now. Now I can't do it, but the people who do it really well.
Where do you like the stiffness when you deadlift? Like in what part of the suit?
Just my hips. Just literally. It's the only time I wear loose gear because I actually like. When I started, I just pulled in my singlet. Like I just didn't even wear, and then I wore like a pair of single ply. It was like a cutoff TRX, and then that's the only time where I realized like more gear isn't necessarily better.
For deadlifts, it like almost never is. Yeah,
it's just I cannot get in position. That's why I say the canvas is like the canvas is great when it hits just right, but once it gets like just a hair too tight, I am like I can't pull anything.
Yeah,
so it's got to be like loose enough where I can sit back into it, but like not too tight that I can't reach the bar. Because at one time I literally I swung for the bar at the meet and like missed, and then I had to like reset up and like look at the audience. I'm like, we're gonna try that again. And that's like more embarrassing than like faking a bicep injury. I'm like, nope, just kidding. Like I'm just
faking a bicep injury.
Jesus.
That's how it is for me. Like I pulled in an Ultra Pro and pulled like 605, and then bought a Fusion 3 months later, pulled 645.
Yeah.
It's just whatever works for you.
Yeah. Those things are great when they fit right too, except like the ultimate wedgie sometimes when they fit wrong.
Bro, like front moose knuckle.
Yeah, they load like Hill could never wear that.
Well, actually, the reason I used to I originally started pulling in my OG canvas was because it was made for it fit perfectly wearing triple ply briefs underneath it, but you can't deadlift in triple ply briefs, or at least I can't. So like I would wear the same suit that I squatted in, but I would wear either no briefs or single ply briefs underneath it because it would pull up really hard in the crotch, and I could crank the straps down, but the hips and the legs were loose, and so like I could get really upright and just basically turn it into like a leg press into a hip thrust. And so like that's why I originally started pulling in the canvas, but much to Bob's point, the heavier I got, the suit would get a little bit tight in the hips. Then it just turned everything I did into like a really ugly round back stiff leg. So then I got a bigger suit, then I got a Fusion, and then I went back and forth between deadlift suits, and I was pulling, consistently pulling 750 to 8 in whatever I pulled, or, whatever gear I chose. So now I've got overkill. I got a double ply briefs and a double ply suit that's supposed to be like really loose in the hips. So hopefully I'll be able to like mimic how the old canvas used to feel. But I mean, deadlift gear, it's all about like comfortability at that, like when it comes to deadlift gear. If you can get to the bar and get in a good starting position and have just a little bit of support in the hips and like a little bit of snugness in the straps to get some pop off the floor, I don't think deadlift gear is nearly as important as squat and bench.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get lucky if you get 20 pounds out of that deadlift gear.
Oh, I get a lot more than that.
I think I can squeak out like like 60 pounds maybe is what I get out of
That's
my
pretty
deadlift gear.
I think I might even get more than that. My suit
I don't know.
My
Dan's
suit
got really
helps me
good
a lot. Like a lot. I do it kind of weird though. Because I pull sumo, but with I'm not. I guess I shouldn't say my hips are high. They're just not like some people pull sumo in gear and like almost it looks like a squat. You know what I mean? I pull like a little bit higher in the hips, so I actually go like probably just like a 5 out of 10 in the hips, like tightness wise. And then I do like 4 or 5 out of 10 in the legs, so still pretty like not like really tight. But then I do the torso like a 10 out of 10. And kind of moderately tight straps, not super tight. But since my hips are a little higher, I'm a little more bent over. So having the torso like 10 out of 10 tight makes it so that my back like can't round. And that
Weirdly
feels
enough,
really
yeah.
fucking good.
That's how I wore it when I squatted, basically in the Ultra Pro.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I wear such aggressive briefs. I would always crank the torso settings.
Yeah.
Then I would like snug the hips, like literally just snug them, and I left the legs alone. Like I literally left them wide open, and that's because I squat so upright, like, and in such aggressive briefs, like anything more than that, it was like I'm never hitting depth. So I wore it the same way. I did
Makes
love.
sense.
That's the one thing. That's the one thing I kind of missed. Like if I had to pick one thing I miss, is I liked the ability to adjust that torso. It was like having like a belt that went on forever.
It is cool, man. Yeah, the torso adjustment's definitely cool. Brian, this isn't really a question, but I'm going to turn it into a question. This person's saying, thank you, Brian, for the tutorial you made on wearing the OG Leviathans. I don't think I've seen that video. But what I was going to say from that is that you've actually made a lot of kind of Instagram posts that are kind of either tutorials or kind of like just showing what you're doing for a warm-up or like shit like that. And actually have a couple of yours saved. But you haven't done any of those in a while. What the fuck's going on?
I've been training. Yeah. I mean, I'll get back on it, especially now that I got all this new gear to review.
Yeah.
I'll be doing some more tutorials and reviews and stuff like that. It's kind of the plan. But yeah, when I've literally done nothing worth showing or posting or talking about for like the last 9 to 10 months for sure.
Yeah.
More like last year or so. So my lack of posting has been because there's just absolutely nothing going on worth showing.
I think you touched on this the last time you were on, Brian, but to refresh my memory, what happened? Why you took that time out? I think you said you had a bunch of injuries that had just kept nagging, and you finally took the time, right? Am I right?
Yeah, mostly that, plus like some life changes and shit like that, just stress and bullshit going on in my personal life. So I took some time away from like training. I mean, I never stopped training, never will. I still went to the gym 4 or 5, 6 days a week sometimes, but like I haven't squatted, benched, or deadlifted seriously since last August until about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I started easing back into things. So
that's kind of what I'm doing
month
right now. I mean, I feel you, dude. Like I haven't really posted much either, just because like I'm fucking training wicked hard, but there's not like a lot to like, you know. It's just not a lot to post that like anyone's gonna give a shit about.
Yeah,
for me, it's just bodybuilding shit.
Yeah,
I'm kind of going through that right now, where like I'm working so fucking much that I haven't done any heavy lifting in a while. What did you do to when you started putting the gear on 3 or 4 weeks ago and easing back into it? Did you have a number in your head, like, all right, I'm going to stop here, or did you go by feel? Did you go by your sets and your reps? Kind of, because when I get to that point, I'm kind of curious on how you got back into it.
So for me, like, I like 80% ish is like, that's the starting point. Like I like to get my raw strength, which I don't fuck around a whole lot with raw strength, but like I said, I've been doing bodybuilding type stuff. I would go to commercial gyms and do leg press and leg machine, stuff like that. And then, like I said, I didn't squat for months. The first squat workout I did was like a plate for sets of 20, and then 2 plates for sets of 15, and 3 plates for sets of 10. And then I put on briefs and did 8 plates, and I took 2 weeks off. And then today I got into full gear and did 9 plates, just because that's like I said, that's right around 75, 80%. And to me, that's that's starting point. Like that's ground zero for somebody that's been doing it this long. If you can't go in when you're like half-assed decently in shape and take like a single at 75 or 80%, then you need to take a step back or go fix whatever's fucked up or hurt or weak or whatever. So that was kind of my thing. Honestly, because the gear fit so well despite me being a little light, because like it just felt like home. Like the weight felt effortless on my back because it was 875. It wasn't heavy on my body at all. It was just like a lot of pressure in my face, and like the knee wraps are really painful. Not only first time I've had knee wraps on, and like I said, since August of last year, but it's the Overkill white knee wraps, and those things feel like wrapping your leg with like a nylon strap. Like they don't even feel like knee wraps. They don't feel, I don't know. As my handler was wrapping my knees, like he got done, and it's somehow like they got tighter as he finished. Like it's like I could feel them like tightening around my knee while I'm sitting there waiting for him to wrap the other. And I was like, holy shit, these things are aggressive. And then like I got up, and like I said, it felt like taking this seatbelt right here and just like wrapping your knee with a fucking seatbelt.
Yeah.
They're pretty gnarly.
You crank your knee wraps?
No, I'm always a giant pussy when it comes to knee wraps. Like I like the grippers because they were so spongy and soft and comfortable. So like I could wrap them kind of tight, but they were still comfortable, and I could move and think and breathe. But like these Overkills are going to take a minute to get used to because they are fucking gnarly.
Dude,
yeah, and I feel like
shirts and knee wraps, I'm the biggest fucking pussy in the world.
I feel like you can't wear Overkill knee wraps loose either. There's like they don't have like a middle ground. It's like fairly aggressive or ridiculously aggressive are your two options. Like,
or they just start tightening on their own, apparently.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, like, because I messed with those for a while, and I feel like the dude rapping, they just keep going. They stretch to infinity. So like, you get like an extra 5 or 6 revolutions out of those raps, and somehow they still cast up. They are nasty.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
The problem with that type of material,
I don't like aggressive knee wraps when I squat in gear. I used to when I was raw, but now I don't even sit down. I just stand up and have people slap a wrap on me like right there before I squat.
Yeah.
The problem with that type of material, like regular knee wraps are, without like the grips, is if you try to like go kind of loose, they start sliding on each other. You know what I mean? So you have to get it at least pretty tight, and then like you said, there's no option like. Because if you don't get it at least pretty tight, they're going to slide around. So you have to fucking just lock it in there. Whereas the grippers, like you can kind of not really tighten them the amount they're supposed to be, and they'll still stick a little because they have that, you know, whatever that fucking little rubber shit is. I don't even know what question we were just answering. Let's move on though.
I don't either.
Brian,
there's a Dalton question. Oh yeah, the tutorial stuff.
Yes.
So thanks for being such a good influencer.
You're an influencer,
yeah. Call me Joe Sullivan.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm just kidding. Fuck that
guy. This is a good question.
Oh my gosh.
This might take a little while though. We'll probably answer like 2 more, and then we'll call it a night because I kind of have to shit. Describe how you pick a squat from the hooks, the entire process. I'm gonna let's have Bob and Brian answer that, because me and Dalton's answer to this doesn't matter, and also like if we all 4 of us answered this, it would take way too fucking long.
Speak for yourself. I told Brian the other day, if I wanted to squat as much as everyone else, I would just do it. I just don't feel like it. Okay, so
that's the same reason I haven't squatted 12 yet, man. Actually, it's the same thing. I would do it.
You just don't feel like it. Yeah,
don't feel like it. It's too even of a number.
I'm not trying to saturate the sport with a 1,600-pound squat. Okay, I'm just like, why would I do that to everybody?
Give the people something. They wouldn't be able to chase that. Am I going first, Brian?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, because I will be way quicker and less technical than Mr. Hill, I'm sure. One thing I will note, though, is like a lot of people, like rack height is something that they don't pay enough attention to, and a lot of people set the bar too high. Like they're trying to just clear the hooks.
Yeah,
and I think that's like one really common mistake, especially that I see in multiply, is like people set it up where if they stand up, they're clearing by just a fraction. And I mean, I get why they do that because it's less effort.
Yeah.
but it also requires like less effort's not always good. So like when you hear like build a wedge and like tight upper back and all those are cues that like are obviously a part of the stand up, like you can't do that unless you force yourself to be kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Especially as you get to the point where you're squatting weights, 800, 900, 1,000, 1,100 pounds, because what you forget is like when you're building that wedge, you're taking slack
the
out of that bar.
the middle of it starts coming up. Yeah.
So like
And
the only way
actually compress.
Yeah, the only way, you yourself are going to actually compress. So like the only way to even start that is like I tell most people, like your rack's probably too high. Like if you can comfortably get under there and you're not like sort of like setting your traps first and sort of building that tight wedge in your upper back, like if you can get under there with ease, you got to lower it. So that's like the first thing. So then like once you're under there, for me, I always use like a cue that like obviously like elbows down, tight back, but I try and push my chest forward, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like sort of chest at the wall. Now I'm an upright squatter. So like by the time I go to pick, my upper body should be in position. And then it is just, and if you're doing it right, like on your warm-ups, I don't know if this happens to Hill, but I would imagine like if you're setting your pick up correctly, like on your warm-up, sometimes it leaves the racks as you're trying to build your wedge. Like, because if it's 700 pounds and I'm getting tight and I'm building my wedge, like it's already left the building and I'm not quite done getting in position yet. Like, because I don't so much pick as just sort of like flex my hips into position. So like it's not that I don't think about it. It's just like getting tight is the pick. And it's like a hip motion for me, not so much like a leg motion. It's like as I build myself in and I sort of lock my hips in a position, I'm clearing. But again, I clear the bar by a lot more because I set the bar I clear by 2-3 inches because I want to.
Yeah. There was a cue that Val told me a long time ago that actually helped my pick completely. Was all she said was take it out with your legs. So like, and she was like poking my quads. So what she had me do is just start pushing your knees out to get the bar out. You know what I mean? It was weird at the time, but it fucking worked for me because I learned how to like take it out slower and actually, because you know how Louis always says, take it out with your back. Fuck that. Like, get your ass underneath it with the wedge that you're talking about and already start pushing on your fucking feet as you're picking it. And dude, that shit changed the game for me.
And I mean, I guess that's an oversight, like, because I set my feet, like, different people approach it. Like, I set my feet first. Like, I know, like, I line up, like, if I'm going to a meet, I got some of these OCD tendencies actually from Brian. Like, I've marked things up. Like, I know where my feet need to be in relation to being directly under the bar. I've measured my height with my tape measure. I've got my white chalk marker and made little notches somewhere, probably right around Brian's notches that he leaves right on there. So like I set my feet first. So when I build that wedge, like they're already locked in. I'm already driving out. So with my feet set, like as I set my upper body and as I build that wedge, I'm already sort of leaving. And if I'm not quite there yet, like if it's a heavier one, it's just pushing my hips through to stand myself straight up.
With your chest forward cue, are you saying that like you're squeezing your shoulder blades?
Kind of. Like it's like I push literally my chest at the wall. So it is like you're almost like pushing in and like tightening your lats. But it's not just tightening your lats, it's tightening your lats and pushing yourself forward.
Arching your back.
Now you hold yourself upright.
Oh shit, okay.
It's so crazy listening to you guys talk about this because I'm a trainer for a living and I coach people and stuff, and obviously I lift myself, but it's just funny hearing different people's cues. Like it's interesting hearing you describe that all makes sense to me. But it's just different from how I would describe it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you get 4 of us to describe something to, you're going to probably get the same answer 4 different ways, which is why it's like
exactly what I was going to say.
When we coach, it's always me and Magnavita, and I'm going to pick on him because, like, I'll say something like slightly technical, and then he speaks GED to them, and like depending on who we're talking to, they're going to get it one way or the other. And I always get offended when they get his because I'm like, shit, too many syllables, I guess.
But yeah, I'm gonna say pretty much exactly what Bob just said, but in my own North Carolina, slightly less educated words. But yeah, there's actually, to his point about like the rat kite, there's a picture that his wife took of us. I can't remember what meet it was, but she's like twinsies because we were the only.
That was semis,
we were the only people that we took a tape measure and measured our rack height, because I don't want to measure. I don't want to get under it and like second guess it. I just measure it, and I know exactly where it is at my rack at home versus the rack on the platform. And there was a meet that it might have been semifinals.
It was.
We're the only people who didn't like have to lower our racks on our openers to get our opener out of the rack. Like everybody else in our flight like would go to pick it, and then not only is there slack and bend in the bar, but there's slack in your body with more and more weight, and there's slack in the monolith. So
that
like
mono, if I remember correctly, that mono actually had a lot of slack, because even though I cleared on my opener, I still actually, I'm like, why don't you go ahead and lower that one, because I didn't clear by, actually the lady pulling the hooks clipped me, and I'm like, that's weird, because I normally clear by plenty. And when you watch the video, you can see I stand up and you see the arm to the mono kind of like.
Yeah. So you have tons of slack in the bar, in your body, and in the equipment. So it's super important to get the height just right. And then like much to his point, I've taken the same tape measure after I measure my height, and I'll put it on the end of the bar and let it hang down like a plumb bob. And then I'll use a Sharpie. I mean, meet directors don't stop me. If they do, I'll just whatever. And draw a line right where the bar is. And then I line that line up, because my feet go all the way out to the monolith. I put it right at the front of my ankle, and like I chest up to the bar. So I get my grip set, I go all the way out, and then I center my chest with the bar. I look down, make sure that the front of my ankles are on those black marks I put on the mono. And then like I try and, just like Bob's talking about with his chest, like when I set the straps on my suit, I pull my chest up and I try to get my chest big and like my upper back arched and squeezed together, flexed as if I would be under the bar. And then I crank the straps down in that position. And then I walk up to the bar with like invisible lat syndrome with my back all arched and set. Then once I get under the bar, all that shit's already where it belongs. I don't have to like wedge my back in, get my grip set, like keeping my upper back locked in. I sit straight back. I don't squat down or like round to get under the bar. I just wedge, and then I pull myself up, get the bar like wedge into my back. And then just like Bob's saying, like I'm worried about, like I basically treat it like a really, really short range of motion good morning. Like I'm pulling all of my air, bracing my core, and then I'm just leveraging my hips forward and my chest up until I feel the bar levitate out of the racks. And once it levitates out of the racks, then I'm set, ready to go. Like
that's exactly
I see a lot of people get under it
too.
and like pop it up really hard and all this stupid shit, and it's like all that slack and all that whip. It's just like it has to be precise, because if I can unrack it and I'm in position and I can get somewhere close to depth, I can stand up with anything that's on the bar. But if I miss one cue or like misplace something on my unrack, like I'll get squashed with 900 pounds.
Bro, that's a 5-head move, fucking marking the ground though.
Yeah. That's a good lesson right there too. Like control all the variables you can control. That's easy. That's just not being lazy.
Yeah.
I actually learned a lesson too. The militia meets, those monos are bigger, like wider at the base. So I had to start marking, like, because I have an elite FTS mono here, like generation 1, it's like 55.5 inches. Yeah. So it's like the metal militia ones are like 60 inches. Yeah. So I had to start measuring and marking where the edges are too. So I mark straight down, and then I mark the edges right on the carpet with chalk.
Your mom.
What's that?
He was just speaking Texan. Yeah. That's all.
You cut out Dalton. Say that again. Why he's just laughing at us? Say that again, Dalton.
So you're saying.
Oh man,
I'm still not getting Dalton. He just froze.
All right, Dalton, hang tight for a second. Your connection's not good. I did have one more thing to mention. What you guys were talking about, the rack height. I do notice with people when they put like the rack height. Dalton's still trying to talk, but we can't hear him. When you put the rack height too high, I also notice people like they're Dalton. Shush. Shush. What is he doing? Does he know he's frozen? I don't think he knows. All right, anyways, when the rack's too fucking high, I notice people lose their balance a ton on the pick too. Because like you were saying, because it's easier to come out of the hooks. if your feet are a little off, it'll still come out of the hooks, and then they're falling all of a sudden. Whereas when it's a bit lower and you actually have to put a decent amount of effort to get it into the hooks, if your feet are too far forward or something, as soon as you start like going to squeeze it out, you're gonna feel like, oh, I don't have, like, something with the leverage isn't right here. You know what I mean?
You don't get smacked with the whip. Like if you pry it out slowly, I mean, a lot of people attack the pick and then you've got all that whip on an 8-pound bar. If you do it this way and you pry it out and you don't even know, like, I can't tell at which point I'm trying to stand up or not. It's just a natural, like, as I build that wedge, like Brian said, levitates. Like, that's the best way to describe it. Like, if you do it right, as you get in a position, like, they can pull the racks and you don't even really know at what point.
Yeah. You
didn't like use cognizantly, like, stand up with it. I just pry in and it sort of stands up with me.
Yeah, my cue for that is always to squeeze it out of the rack. Like you're literally just like squeezing it out. You know what I mean? It's gonna like almost. It's like if you go to put your foot on the gas. Oh, it's weird because you're maximally tight, right? But the actual like taking out of the rack, you're almost going from like 0 to 60 really slow. You know what I mean? Rather than just like slamming your foot on the gas.
There's nothing better than a whippy bar at the start of a squat, and you're.
Dude, some people do that too, and then they still like are fine somehow. Like,
I don't know.
Hey, I mean, fuck it.
Brian Carroll, he takes the bar out like pretty aggressively, and it obviously doesn't mess with him. But like, he's about the only person I know that looks like they take it out aggressively and still squats well. Like everybody else that pops it out, they end up like shaking and wobbling all over the place and look like they're squatting during an earthquake.
You know what's scary as fuck is people that do that and then the bar like tips in the process, and it's like this. And they're fucking squatting. Dalton, I see that you're back.
Dude, I'm just trying not to end up in prison by throwing my phone at someone.
You guys ready for the next question?
Yeah, let's do it.
This is
angry.
This is the last one. There's a couple more, but like some of them I didn't want to answer. Like we've answered on like 4 episodes in a row now, talking about the band shirts and whether we care or not. And every time it's like, yeah, it's fine. None of us care.
Dude, we're doing so good. How many fucking questions have we gotten through?
We're doing pretty fucking good.
By you, or you were frozen. We made it through like 5 while you were frozen because you stopped interrupting.
If you could pick one of the 3 lifts to be the GOAT at, which one would it be at?
I don't understand the question. The squat.
So you have the squat, or the squat. What's the fucking option?
Can I just squat 3 times?
All right, guys, hear me out. Listen. I think I have the correct answer to this question. And it's not because it's the coolest lift, but I think your best bet would be to have the highest raw conventional deadlift ever, because nobody, like, you think about like every fucking squat world record is. Everybody's like, no, that shit sucked. That was bullshit. Like, there's so much stuff to dispute about it, whether it's raw or equipped. And then same thing with bench. People be like, oh, the pause was too short, or fucking, oh, the elbows weren't locked. But like, nobody ever talks shit on a big fucking conventional deadlift. You know what I mean? Like, there's never like it's kind of hard to dispute. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you had the
very good
biggest conventional deadlift ever, everyone would just be like, yeah, I mean, you like, there's nothing really to say. You know what I mean?
Stan just won this argument. Like,
no, I mean,
he just converted me.
Point, but
that's a very good point.
Not me. My answer is the squat.
I think
you make a good point. I can see that you make a good point, and I also think that would help my total the most. Like if I had a nice 1,000-pound conventional deadlift would be helpful in my total. And my answer is the squat still.
I think for like personal accomplishment, I think the squat would probably be the answer for me too. But
if you want to actually be accepted and respected, then the raw conventional deadlift, double overhand with no belt.
Yeah, hook
but outside
grip,
of that, yeah. Let's face it, none of us are doing this for fucking respect or admiration. So let's just. I'm sticking with squat. I'm with you, Bob.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, having that dude Julius Maddox, like he's pretty insane. Like having that big of a bench that's like just seems unreasonable. That's definitely pretty tough too. I mean, they're all. I guess. I don't know. That's actually kind of a tough question, but.
No, yeah, it's still the squat, but I agree. And I want people to look at it, and I want them to see like that was convincingly borderline. That's what I want. I don't want them to like, you bury it. Like, I want them to like have to pause it and look real close at the screen, and be like, I don't know.
Zoom into the hip crease.
Yeah. And then every raw lifter, I want them to hate it. But I want all of my peers to be like, yeah, I'll give it to them.
Yeah.
The funniest thing Bob's ever posted was some kid that said, "No disrespect, but why do you squat high?" And your response was, "Just tell me I fucking squat high, you pussy."
Like, yeah, look, with all due respect, I'm like, you can say it. Like, I'm not that mad.
Yeah.
Sometimes I squat real high. It's okay.
You're like, I'm self-aware. Just ask your fucking question.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to plug anything? Brian, you're coaching.
Sure. Hit me up on Instagram if you want to coach.
What do you coach? Powerlifting? Just powerlifting?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Mostly, like, most specifically multiply, but I have a couple raw lifters. But yeah, if you're interested in any powerlifting coaching, hit me up slide my DMs on Instagram.
Nice. You got anything else coming up? You don't have anything planned, right? No meets?
No, not for myself.
Not yet. Okay. What about you, Bob? Anything you want to plug?
I mean, I got Brian's
always
Brian's always too shy to talk about his OnlyFans, but like Brian the Hammer Hill, his OnlyFans account, it's worth the $9.99. And don't be one of those people. Don't buy it and share it with your friends. I mean, the man works hard for his money, so like, get your own subscriptions. It's going to be worth it.
Hey, that's a good rumor to have, Brian. I would just take it and run with it.
Yeah, it's true.
Hey.
I was announcing at a meet he was at one time. I just was relentless with it. It was enjoyable for me.
That's fucking awesome, dude. Holy shit.
Hell yeah.
I'm not mad at the reputation.
There's worse. Yeah. There's worse things.
Yeah, it might be a little misleading, but
there's going to be a lot of disappointed people in the future.
Yeah. At least it's bringing them in, you know.
Yeah.
Are you guys both still selling shirts, or was that just like a limited run thing?
Oh yeah, I just sell them
all out
when I get them. Yeah, I normally order a few extras and people snag them up, but I always post when I do that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, me too. I'm all out currently, but I can get some here soon.
I'll pop you guys' Instagram. I always put everybody's Instagram and shit in the bio of the YouTube video, so you don't have to list it out. They can go find it. Yeah, this was a good episode, guys. Actually, probably one of our better ones. I mean, it helps.
Hour and a half.
We have. I guess we didn't even mention this, but you guys are both, top of the food chain, up in the top of the food chain of men's multiplied powerlifting. We probably should have said that with the intros. So if people have made it this far,
with the outros.
I was going to say,
exactly.
if people tuned in, the tens of fans that we probably have, they probably
know who you are. See, dude, that's how I feel about, like, if people get on us about not introing you guys. I'm like, bro, I feel like the people who are listening already know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I heard a really cool Kid Rock quote one time. He was like, no, listen, motherfucker, this is a good one. He was like, never introduce yourself because people should know who you are. Like, you're the shit, so just don't introduce yourself. If they want to know, then they should either already know or they're going to be curious and like look you up. So
I feel
that's the same reason why I like. That's the same reason. Same reason I like when people talk
so
shit.
Proud right now.
Kid Rock quote. I hear living my life by fucking Kid Rock quotes and Joe Dirt.
All right, boys.
Holy shit.
This was